Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Western Oregon University. I'm really happy to see you all here today. It's a great day for visiting the campus, so we were lucky today with the weather. This is our 38th annual Career Day. We've been doing this for a really long time, almost as long as we've existed. I'm Misty Weitzel. I'm our Criminal Justice Sciences Division Chair. I also am a professor, and my area is forensic anthropology, which I'll talk to you about a little bit more later. We have a very long and proud history of criminal justice at Western. We started our program in the late 1960s. To me, that doesn't seem like that long ago. To all of you, I realize that's like a century ago. But yeah, we started out and we were just, at that time we were corrections. Pretty much that was it. These days, we have a lot more, we've broadened our horizons, we have a lot more people in the program, and we have a lot of areas. So you can get 2 degrees in criminal justice. You can get your Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice, or you could get your Bachelor of Science in Cybercrime Investigation and Enforcement, or Cybersecurity. So those are your 2 options for criminal justice. In addition to that, if you want to, you can augment your degree. And we have minors in juvenile justice. We have a very strong youth crime studies or juvenile justice program here. A lot of faculty teaching in those areas. Forensic anthropology, as I mentioned. I brought forensic anthropology to this university in 2012. We're the only forensic anthropology program in Oregon. And then we have a minor in criminal justice, and we have a minor in cybersecurity as well. So sometimes when people are majoring in other areas, they choose those minors. But you could do something like be a criminal justice major with a cybercrime minor too. Then we have these things called concentrations, and concentrations are built into your degree. So when you're getting your bachelor's degree, if you have to take certain amount of electives as part of that degree. So we have 5 concentrations: corrections, Homeland Security, Forensic Anthropology, Law Enforcement, and Juvenile Justice. So those are all areas that you can tailor your degree to be more specialized in. We're honored to have a visit from the Provost today, Provost Coll, and I will pass it on to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. All right. Good morning. First of all, welcome to Western Oregon University. We have a very long history in criminal justice, as already delivered to you and prepared for you. Remarkable faculty. You're obviously here because you want to serve somewhere, either in your community, you want to serve your state, or you want to serve nationally. You have somewhere in there a passion to be a servant agent. And that's what a criminal justice degree provides for you, right? That you're going to have the skills and the ability, the critical thinking to go back into your community and do good. And that's what we want from every student. We want you to be able to come to Western, acquire critical thinking skills, acquire good practical skills, and then actually be able to go out into your community and do good. Now, Oregon, in the 4 corners of Oregon, you cannot visit any 4 corners of Oregon and not find someone that has actually stepped through this door. Everyone in Oregon, somewhere in law enforcement, has been impacted by this program. For someone that actually has a lot of colleagues in criminal justice or in law enforcement in particularly, I'm always astonished to hear their connection to Western Oregon University. And that speaks volumes to our program. It speaks volumes to the history of our program. And it speaks volumes to your desire to walk through those doors and sit in the same spot, thinking about the same questions that thousands of individuals have come through our program and graduated and have had a positive impact in our community. And as a provost, and I think as President Peters would say, we want you to be wolves. We want you to be part of this community. Our faculty care, our advisors care, our staff care for your success at Western Oregon University. So you've made already a commitment. You're already part of our community. You're here with us. And we expect you, and I expect you, to make that through. Come to Western Oregon University, major in criminal justice, go back to the community. Don't pull me over. Pull everybody else over, but don't pull me over. Do good. That's all I ask. Whatever degree you decide to get at Western Oregon University, just do good to your community. And if you earned a criminal justice degree, I know you will do good because our faculty are going to prepare you and give you the needed skills for you to actually be a servant agent in your community. With that, thank you very much for being with us here this morning. Enjoy your day, ask good questions, shake a lot of hands, take a lot of notes, and I look forward to seeing you when you're ready to be part of our community. Thank you.
We're going to take some time to learn about what some of our graduates are doing with their degrees now. As a reminder, Dr. Weitzel introduced me, but I am Dr. Taryn Vanderpyle. My focus is on corrections, which means prisons and jails. I go into prison a lot. I'll be in prison on Friday. I'm told it sounds weird when I say that. So that's something I'm trying to give a little bit of disclosure. I also like to take students into prison with me. Prison is very fun to visit when you are allowed to leave. So if you're going to go to prison, please only go with me. If you don't go with me, I'll still help you when you get out. That is my area of focus. I've been with Western for 5 years now, and I absolutely love it here. I taught at a couple other universities before this, and Western is definitely the right fit. So I hope to see you here in the future. In the meantime, though, let's talk about some folks who have already been here and have already graduated from here. If we could just go down the line, would you introduce yourself, tell the year that you graduated, what agency you're working with now, and what you do in your profession? If you would start us off, please.
Yeah, my name is Cody Wolf. I graduated in 2018. I am a law enforcement deputy for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, and I'm currently assigned to our Transit Police Division, and I have an explosive canine, like bomb sniffing dog.
My name is Benjamin Chittock. I graduated in 2020. I work at the Northwest Regional Reentry Center. It's a little bit of a mouthful. I'm a case manager there, and I work specifically in what's called the Aid and Assist program. And that's a program for offenders who have been arrested but are deemed incompetent to stand trial. And that means basically it would be unconstitutional if they were to go to trial in their current state. You know, they could be taken advantage of by the DA or say something that would incriminate them. So what I do is, as their case manager, is besides just lowering barriers to care, I help them with their competency restoration, study their legal skills, and prepare them for a potential trial.
I'm Houston Demir. I work for the Washington County Sheriff's Office in the Forensic Science Unit. I graduated in 2015, and what I do now is process crime scenes and play with dead bodies.
Cool.
I'm Matthew Coyle. I work for the United States Department of Justice with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I graduated in 2020, and I'm a United States Correctional Officer.
My name is Kevin Jones. I work for the FBI based out of Salem, headquartered out of Portland. I graduated in 2012. I am an adjunct faculty here with the criminal justice program, so I teach classes, and I'm also a member of our evidence response team, so I also get a look at dead bodies.
My name is Aaron Stotler. I work for Yamhill County Juvenile Detention. I'm a supervisor there. Work with youth in the detention facility, and that's just the day-to-day.
Thank you. Matt, we're going to start with you because I've had you in class, so I can pick on you first. Can you explain to us what made you choose Western?
Yeah, so what's actually kind of cool is when I was 17, I came up here from California, out of state, and I actually sat in this exact same room where you guys are right now, and I saw this same panel. So it kind of comes full circle that I'm now on the panel as an alumni, as a professional. And I chose Western because I knew I wanted to serve my community, and criminal justice was something that I was very interested in at the time and still am. And I chose Western because, well, they have a giant criminal justice program here, and not many other universities in the state of Oregon have large criminal justice programs. I just liked the campus and the faculty that I met when I was here, when I was in high school, and just was very inviting, and I was just excited to start learning everything I could while I was here and enrolled.
How about you, Cody?
I chose Western. I'm kind of a homebody, so I lived outside of Portland my whole life, and so it was kind of nice to have a university that was pretty close to home. I really appreciated and enjoyed all the meetings I came to, all the career fair days, just like all of you are here for today. The staff was wonderful, and then the thing that really appealed to me as well was the small class size. I didn't want to just be another kind of like a number in a class. When you talk to you went to Oregon State or U of O, for example, it was 300 or 400 people in class, and here I was maybe one of 15 or 20, so I felt like I had a really personal connection with all my professors, and that's something that really appealed to me and really kind of swayed my decision to be a Western Oregon Wolf.
Thank you. Aaron, I want to come to you for the next question. What classes did you like best, or in which classes did you learn the most? Which professors contributed to those learning?
Yeah, so forgot to mention, 2015 is when I graduated, and criminology, and I think it was quantitative methods. I know I had a professor, Tom O'Connor, at the time. Hopefully it's okay to name drop, but he was really great. You know, the small class size definitely had a large part in just feeling heard, and it was really easy to communicate with those professors, and it was really fun. And I, you know, speaking to Tom O'Connor at the time, that professor, his techniques in discussion and his abilities to lead groups and be as warm and welcoming to take students with him to those facilities and to just demonstrate strong leadership skills at that time was really inspiring, and it was really great. So I learned a lot during those courses.
Awesome, thank you. And Tom O'Connor does still teach some classes for us from time to time, and he still is, in fact, fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Houston, how about you?
Just to reiterate on Tom O'Connor, he nicknamed me the Ice Queen in college.
Oh, wow.
He gave me a lot to think about. It was fun, but apparently I had a hard justice stance. I think I was most challenged in my forensic osteology class. Thank you, Dr. Weitzel. That was the first class that I ever actually had to study in, I think, that that didn't come super naturally to me. And so I had to work really hard, and that was really good for me. It kind of like kicked me down a notch, and I was like, oh, crap. So I appreciated that. I really liked the challenge of it. And all of my courses within my discipline, really, I fit the bill for what I wanted to do.
Thank you. Kevin, how about you?
I wouldn't say that there was one class in particular that was overly memorable as far as what really challenged me the most. I do remember coming from high school. I went to high school in North Portland over in Benson, and I remember that I never really had to study. When I came to Western, I realized that that's not how this works. And prior to that, I hadn't really drawn the connection between actually studying and receiving good grades. So when I made that connection my freshman year, luckily it was the first term my freshman year, that I realized that the more you study, the better grades you get, and then the more opportunities you have. And then I started getting scholarships and all these other things. But there was one class, and I can't remember exactly what class it was, but I was undeclared as my major for quite a while, and I realized that criminal justice was going to be more of a natural interest because my freshman year, I was taking biology classes and education. I was trying to determine what I was going to do. And I had a friend of mine come into the dorms, and we're talking about classes we were taking. And he was talking about, in his criminal justice class, they were talking about how certain drugs are made. And I remember, like, you're doing that in school? And he said, yeah, well, I mean, in order for us to figure out the way to address this appropriately as professionals, we need to at least have a basic understanding. And I remember thinking that was really cool, and being able to have, you know, kind of an inside look at the world of criminal justice was just pretty natural to me. And then so I took the first class, which was that exact class, and I was hooked. I remember it just seemed like a natural fit.
Nice, thank you. Ben, I want to come to you next. In what ways do you think your degree from Western prepared you for your career?
Yeah, it helped me tremendously, honestly. The first thing that comes to mind is having a strong understanding of the court system and just the criminal justice system as a whole. I mean, it's hard enough as a normal person to navigate and understand that, and it's extremely difficult for someone with severe and persistent mental illness to understand, and I can't teach and help them understand if I don't understand it myself. So, you know, understanding the difference between a suspended sentence and a conditional release, you know, just basic things like that were huge for me. I just came into the job kind of already knowing those things. I didn't have to learn as I went. It definitely gave me a head start. And then another thing that really comes to mind, and I would recommend you don't avoid, is taking the professional writing and criminal justice class if it's still offered here. Hugely important to understand that everything you write in criminal justice can be eventually taken to court. Even something you write, 10 years ago can eventually come to light in a court. And just, having that understanding of how to write properly, the importance of punctuation, and just how to take good notes was really helpful for me.
That's great. Thank you. Matt, can I hit you with that question as well? What about your degree from Western helped prepare you for your career?
Yeah, I'm very similar with that. The writing is huge. In my job, writing reports, writing probable causes, writing incident reports, whatever profession or program you guys decide to go into is absolutely huge. I remember sitting in freshman year and not knowing how to write really at all. And I think I took a writing course almost every year, or multiple writing courses every year I was here. And they were difficult, but, had to learn APA style, all that good stuff. It's difficult. But learning how to put facts down on paper properly and taking your opinion away from factual writing is really important, especially in the criminal justice profession. And punctuation, all of that. I'd say those were the most valuable courses that I took. Police report writing was great. The criminal justice professional writing was good. And those were the ones that helped me the most, because I write daily in my profession. Every day I'm writing something.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Houston, not everything that students learn here comes from a class. Was there anything that you learned from your time here that has helped you in your career?
Yeah, I would say the connections that Western Oregon has to internships and practicums was really influential in my ability to move forward in forensics. I did my internship with the Salem Police Department's crime lab, and having that experience really set me apart when I was actually applying for full-time jobs later on. I think without it, I wouldn't have made the cut.
That's great, and I like your connection to the practicum there, which is such a unique part of this program. Cody, I'd like to come to you for the same question. Maybe your practicum or maybe something else. What added besides classes to your knowledge?
I think for me it was definitely the practicum as well. I actually did mine at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And it was an incredible experience to just kind of rotate through all the different units they have. And then I actually ended up leveraging my practicum experience into a position with them that was part-time. So when I was a senior here, my last year, I was still working part-time with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And that was just an incredible experience to have connections with people in the industry, and then also, have those references when applying for full-time positions after graduation.
Thank you. Aaron, I'd like to come to you for the next one. What other positions in your agency can somebody with a criminal justice degree qualify for?
In our agency, well, we work for the Department of Community Justice in Yamhill County, so there's parole, probation, adult, juvenile parole, probation, the juvenile detention, and typically, spending time there, whether it's through starting as an intern or working as on-call or part-time staff in any kind of capacity, usually kind of gets you your foot in the door, and like she said, like networking, you kind of get your name out there, you meet people, you can use those as resources down the road. And so with our agency, it's a great way to get known and build that experience early on.
Thank you. Ben, how would you answer that?
What was the question again?
That's fair. I set you up there. What other areas in your agency can a person with a degree in criminal justice?
Yeah, you can be an employment specialist. It's really hard actually to find employment as someone who's coming out of the prison system. I'm sure you can all understand that. And if you have a degree, you can help people navigate that system and find jobs that would be a good fit for them. You can be a case manager like I am. You can work in our security department. Even though, we're a halfway house and the people there are either, not in custody or transitioning out of custody, we still have to have some sort of security on staff. You can do a lot. You can honestly do a lot. That's definitely one thing that I didn't know coming into, the criminal justice program. My dad was a deputy with Clark County up in Washington, and I kind of just defaulted to, I want to help people, I want to be involved in criminal justice, and so I'm going to be a cop, like my dad was. And not that that's a bad thing, but I just don't think a lot of people coming into it understand just how much you can do with the degree. Like, I would say in my classes, there's probably like 80-90% of people were there just for the police force. Maybe 10 to 20% were there for, corrections or social work or whatever. And so just keep an open mind. You can do a lot with a degree. Like, I work in mental health. You can work in employment, corrections. You can work with a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I think people are surprised at how much you can do with a criminal justice degree and how much is offered in the program. I had a student in my class who I took into prison because that's what I do. And he met a gentleman in the Oregon State Penitentiary, the maximum security prison, whose sentence was commuted. And part of that was him having to go to the reentry center, and that student ended up working in the reentry center. So he had first met this gentleman when he was inside OSP, and then ended up as a student, and then ended up helping him at the reentry center before he returned to the community. So it covers a wide gamut. Kevin, I'd like to come to you. What do you find most exciting or fulfilling about your job, besides just saying that it's cool that you work for the FBI?
Well, it's just really cool to work for the FBI. No, I really like the variety. Where I'm at in Salem, we cover 5 counties surrounding us. We have a very wide area of responsibility to cover. And within that, we're different than the Portland office, where analysts and agents in Portland work one offense at a time, and they focus their career around that one offense. So it could be counterterrorism, domestic terrorism, counterintelligence, pick something, right? But in Salem, we have to cover all of it. So we cover all the offenses for 5 counties, which is it's a lot of crime, as you can imagine. The thing that I really enjoy about it is the variety, and every day it's something different. I've written so many reports, and no 2 are the same. They're always different. The cases are always different. Even though the charges or the offenses might be similar, the specifics of the cases are always changing, and I just really enjoy the variety. I also like the opportunity to get out into the field with our evidence response team and go to crime scenes and go to good trainings. So I really enjoy the variety, and I don't think it's ever going to get old.
Well, Matt, I'd like to come to you for that as well, and I'm afraid you're going to give the exact same answer.
Pretty similar. My day is different every day. It's never mundane. So I work inside a federal prison. There's one federal prison in the state of Oregon, and my day looks different every day. I don't know what I'm going to be doing from when I walk in to the time I leave. Whether it's responding to emergencies, transporting adults who are in custody, or working a housing unit with inmates, whether it's finding drugs or weapons or any of those kinds of things inside of prison, my day is always different. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Houston, I'd like to come to you, but before I do, will you raise your hands if you watch CSI and that's why you're interested in criminal justice? Oh, I don't believe that there are only 2 hands. We get students a lot. Thank you. Thank you for owning up to that. We get students a lot who have watched shows like CSI and are very excited about forensics, as you should be. Talk about cool. It's super cool. So Houston, you have what is kind of the dream job. Second, of course, to Kevin, because, what would you advise for a student wanting to follow your career path?
Don't watch CSI. There's nothing like that. Obviously, wrapping up a case in an hour is not realistic, and all of the little extra things that they put in there of all the equipment and stuff, some of it exists, some of it is not out there at all. We don't wear high heels to crime scenes. That's not realistic. It's just like, if you have a problem with, having dirt all over your face or people seeing you without makeup, this is not for you. So, there's a lot of avenues within forensics that you can take. Processing crime scenes is not glamorous. If you don't want to be out in the rain in Oregon, don't do it. I could go on and on. So I'm not really selling it, but I just want you to have a realistic idea of what it's like.
Well, it was quite the sales pitch. Thanks. Thanks, Houston.
We're always hiring.
Cody, let's see where you go with this. What advice would you give a student wanting to follow your career path?
Man, that's a great question. I think one of the biggest things that helped me was just be curious. Take courses that you're not super sold on. Maybe take courses that you don't even really know what might be going on or what will happen in the time in that course. But I think just being curious, getting outside of your comfort zone. I think everyone up here can kind of say, like, going through a hiring process, going through their initial training, like, one of the thing is, like, you will be uncomfortable, you will have to be curious to succeed, and I think that's just a really big kind of way you should kind of approach courses and just be curious.
That's great. Thank you. Kevin, what would you advise folks who want to follow your career path?
I would just say be willing to apply. Just be willing to put your name out there and try. Because I literally sat in the library here on campus, and when I was applying for an internship through my practicum in the CJ program, and I knew nobody in the FBI, not a single person. I'd never met any. I didn't even know if they were real. That's how I was like, and I'm on the library computer, and I'm getting kind of paranoid. Like, are they watching? Same thing, right? I was bold enough, wise enough, smart enough, dumb enough, whatever you want to say, to just apply. Never in a million years did I think that I would get an email back and they would say, yeah, we'd like to meet. And it wasn't, I didn't expect it. But again, I was just willing to do it. So I would say be willing to hear the word no, because you might actually hear the word yes. So keep that in mind.
I like that. Thank you, Kevin. Aaron, how about you?
Yeah, that was great. I think having confidence in yourself to take a chance. There's lots of opportunities out there in so many different agencies, job duties. There's need of it, and there's need of good people and good staff. And so I think the simplest thing is to just get as much from your time at school at Western as possible. Be curious and don't stop until you are satisfied with where you're at.
I like that too. It's a good panel, right? You're good. Ben, what advice would you have for students wanting to follow your career path?
Yeah, definitely echo everything that everyone else has said. I also think I have a unique perspective on like making connections and doing the practicum, for example, because I wasn't able to do one because of when I graduated, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. So I was trying to do one, I think it was at the Polk County DA's office, and it kind of fell through, and then they waived the requirement for the practicum altogether. And now that I'm working in this job and I've kind of started my career, I just, I'm not regretful because it wasn't like my fault, but I just really wish I could have gotten that head start earlier than I did. So because I wasn't able to kind of make those connections, once I had graduated, I kind of spent a year working odd jobs and like looking for this kind of opportunity. And so my biggest piece of advice would just be to don't wait. Like, especially those people who are coming out of high school, you've probably been hearing from your counselors, like, don't take a gap year, like just go right into college. And I think that's also good advice, and it also applies to this. Like, once you graduate and you have opportunities, don't pass them up. You have to jump at them.
Thank you. Matt, I assume, of course, you grew up wanting to be a corrections officer and dreamt of that as a child.
No.
Okay.
So what's funny, contrary to popular belief, nobody grows up and is like, I want to work in prison. That doesn't happen. Like many, I came into Western like, I'm going to go be a cop. And I discovered that route, and I flew down to LA and got a job offer to be a cop in LA, and I went, I don't know if I want to be a cop, especially in LA. So I decided to come back up here. I had also, met a pretty cool girl at the time and didn't want to leave her, who's now my wife. So that was a big part of it. And I actually started my career working with youth, doing youth corrections. And what I found through that was that, I kind of wanted to graduate up to working with adults. Working with adults is completely different than working with children. They're way easier working with adults. And one thing that I discovered was, I always thought, I don't want to work in a prison or jail. No, I don't want to do that when I was younger, a freshman. And what I ended up discovering was that it's completely the opposite for me, at least. I actually decided to try getting an internship with inside of a detention center, and I loved it. And yeah, I would say be curious, explore, especially those professions that you think you may not want to do. give them a try. You may find out that you absolutely love them, and you may find that it may be your passion.
Thank you. I want to pause for just a moment and see if there are any questions from anyone else. I mean, I can keep going, but if you, yes.
The question is, coming from a DACA background, this is why I'm asking, is there any other requirements that you guys have that you know that you should point out for us to know, especially like for FBI, other than bachelor's, what we should consider for looking for a position within your agency?
Contrary to popular belief, too, it's not a requirement to have a bachelor's degree to get into the FBI. It is a requirement for certain positions, like if you want to go become a special agent and do that, it is a requirement. There are a lot of other jobs within the Bureau that just require a high school degree. However, with that being said, there's a lot of competition out there, so betting that you're going to be able to have as much experience without a college degree, it's going to be difficult. It's been a long time since I've looked at the requirements as far as what the Bureau has. The last time I looked in it was 13 years ago. But I do know that I did hear when I checked in this morning that we have our recruiter here at the fair later on today. And that would be a great question for her, because honestly, I can't really speak on it because I'm not informed enough.
It is interesting that with some of the agencies in criminal justice, you don't actually have to have a bachelor's degree. However, we have a professional advisory board for our division to make sure we're including the right things in our degrees. And what they say repeatedly is they want people who are critical thinkers, which you learn by getting a bachelor's degree, and who are good writers. So that's why another reason we keep pushing the writing classes, because again, everything needs to hold up in court. Would any of you like to add to how Kevin answered that question?
Yeah, I'll take a go. If you're interested in working in, like with what I'm doing specifically in mental health, part of my job requirement is getting the QMHA certification, which stands for Qualified Mental Health Associate. You can do even smaller things like becoming a notary. Part of my job is I have to notarize a lot of things. And so just, small things like that to supplement your degree will go a long, long way. Even just doing small little job trainings, like at the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, they do like these de-escalation trainings, and you can reach out to them and ask to kind of sit in on their class. That's usually what they do for their new hires, but they're always willing to work with you guys. You just have to reach out. Yeah, the QMHA thing is huge, and just smaller things like social work stuff like notaries and stuff.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience have a question? Let's get the microphone over to you. We'll start here, and oh, nope, the microphone's closer to there. We're gonna start there and then come to you.
This is sort of a question more for Aaron. What can you expect to see on a day-to-day basis, whether you're like when you clock in and clock out?
So working in a detention facility, typically it's probably similar to other law enforcement positions where could be different day to day, but typically there's exercise for the youth, there's school, there's group activities, CBT related cognitive behavioral therapy groups, activities, lots of cards, games, and those are all the good things. And on a day where someone's having a bad day, there's crisis intervention, there's safety protocols to keep everybody safe, and so it's different every day, but typically you can count on it being interesting. So it can be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have been through like the police academy and FBI academy, what is one thing you like, one thing you don't like, and one thing you would warn people about?
So I went through the State Police Academy. So one thing I liked was that like the physical exercise was built into your schedule. So it was nice to like rather not only the physical exercise, but everything is just kind of like laid out, scheduled out. Super fun. It made it really like good team building, a lot of like good team building stuff. One thing I didn't like was like our really early wake up days. I'm not a big like, I can wake up early, but I work swing shifts, so I'd rather just sleep in. It's not like the movies and the shows and the TV where you like, it's just so much different. And especially in the case of like the Oregon State, or not Oregon State Police Academy, but Oregon's, the DPSST Academy, the way it's set up is that it's very much more of a kind of college-like atmosphere instead of being very like paramilitary. And so that kind of also is what I like. But just have an open mind. Just know that it's not like the TV. It's not like the movies. It's much different.
Do any of you have a job that's like it's portrayed on TV or in the movies? No? Well, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Like if you see in the news, like people running around, like, you know, going through a manic episode and they're running around naked. Like I've definitely had that happen a couple times. Yeah, my job's kind of similar to what you can see on TV sometimes.
I'd like to wrap this up. We've got just like 6 minutes left. Oh, minute per person. Look at that. I took Dr. Sakiyama's math class, so I can do that. What is something that you think students in the audience need to know or that you want them to take out of this panel today? Do you want to just go down the line? Oh, that puts you on first.
That's all right. That's all right. One thing that I think can be kind of like intimidating, and it certainly was for me, is like just asking questions. If you have an opportunity to be here, just ask questions. Just like I said, kind of mentioned earlier, just be curious. Just get an idea of either what you want to get into or what you are getting into. And I think that's something I kind of took to heart when I was here, and it really helped me kind of guide me into my profession.
I would say the thing you need to know is how much the faculty here in the CJ program cares and is passionate about criminal justice as a whole. I actually came in as a exercise science major and took like one criminal justice class because, you know, like I mentioned before, like my dad and whatever. And I had David Murphy as my professor, and within like the first 3 weeks of the class, I changed my major to criminal justice. And so, yeah, it's a really special place in general to go here. And being a part of the criminal justice program in particular, you know, you just work with a lot of really good people. And yeah, it's definitely a special program.
I think a takeaway would be to take seriously the opportunities to network and get to know people that you could potentially be working with. One of your, you know, the person sitting next to you in class could be your boss one day, and it might be nice to have that connection when you're on an interview panel. And then also just taking seriously the ability to be mentored by the staff here. I know after I got hired, Dr. Weitzel was one of the first people that I was so excited to tell. I was like, I did it. I got in. So just definitely network.
Definitely explore all your options and get involved. If there's any kind of volunteer things that you guys can go do while you're in school, whether it's on your weekend, get involved and do it. That's definitely something that would help you understand maybe what profession you might want to go into. One thing that I've learned just through being in a criminal justice job is learn to accept failure sometimes, because there are days where things fail and they don't go as planned. And that is something that I've taken for myself. Like, you have this perfect day, like it's all planned out, you got your schedule, and then, you know, something happens inside the prison and your whole day blows up, right? So that's something that I have learned working professionally, to have to just roll with the punches with. And that when you get hit down, get back up and keep trying. Don't give up. That's another thing. That's a big thing.
I think a couple things. I can't stress enough exactly what we've talked about today. Writing is so important. Networking, being willing to apply for jobs, even if you're not sure you're even qualified to do it. Just put yourself out there more. I think will be beneficial. A couple things also to note, that when I came here, I was from Portland Public Schools and had never had a mentor, had never had a counselor even. And as I was making my way through Western, I noticed that especially with the CJ program, the faculty actually cared about my success. I'll say it again, the faculty actually cared about my success. And as I was going through my internship application with the Bureau, I had faculty members that I would go to beforehand, like, hey, I'm about to drive up to Portland, I'm really nervous. Dr. Murphy also was, hey, it's gonna be fine. Let's walk you through this. This is what our plan is. This is what we're gonna do. I went up to Portland, did my polygraph, did my interviews, came back directly to his office afterwards. And just having that network there, and I wholeheartedly believe that if it weren't for Western and the internship opportunities and the faculty, I wouldn't have even applied. There's no way that I would have even applied, but I did, and it certainly worked out.
I think a little bit more simpler is just if you're coming to school to get an education, I would encourage you not to squander that opportunity. Show up to class, and that's a big one. Go to class and ask questions, be engaged, and meet with these professors, ask further questions, show interest, and yeah, I think just showing up to class and giving it your all is a good place to start.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Would you join me in thanking our panel today, please?